For some students, this has really helped them with their identity. It's helped them open up a different avenue for them to be able to have a bigger dream and to be able to reach for it.
Peng Yang, a teacher with Osseo area schools, has taught Hmong for native speakers for 5 years. She not only founded the program, she sought to continually challenge her students to connect with their Hmong identity through a wide variety of methods that include stories, poetry, and even cookbooks. Yang has been honored for her work by various organizations and now as a Bush Fellow.
I think what the ideas that I have is something that's very different and unique, and that can help change our educational systems, our systems in general.
The Bush Foundation gives grants and investments to people and organizations who are thinking differently about solving problems in their community. We sat down with Peng Yang to learn more about what she plans to do as a Bush Fellow. She is the subject of today's Newsmakers segment.
A part of my plan is to travel back into my home country to really get to know my roots. I came to the United States when I was 3 years old, crossing the Mekong River, nearly drowning with my mom. And fortunately, we were very lucky to have survived and lived in the United States. And because I've had 7 children throughout the last 25 years, I've not had the time or even the money to go back to visit my homeland and to really get to know who I am. So I feel like a part of my identity is missing because I always talk about Laos and Thailand, but I don't even know what it is because I haven't actually been there.
You've been very active with a few initiatives here locally. How do you hope to apply what you're going to learn to what you're doing now?
Exactly. I think over the course of the years, I've had a lot of obstacles along the way with Hmong language programming when you first came to see me a few years back. And through those obstacles, it really helped me see that, you know what, these are opportunities to really make a change and impact in the school community and in their larger community.
Peng Yang also helped found Minnesota Zhejiang, a group that has held events like this one in Brooklyn Center. It brought people together to learn about the Opportunity Site. Yang hopes the organization can continue to make a difference in the community.
That is an organization that Dr. Jenna from the University of Whitewater and I started a few years ago, and that actually stemmed off from work from grant work that Dr. Jenna have received at the national level, pulling Hmong language teachers from across the country working in silo to actually come together and work collaboratively. So through that, we created free Hmong units, we created Hmong language standards, and so much more. And so by the end of the 2-year grant cycle was over, a lot of teachers were like, what do we do? And so we knew that in our heart, we knew that, you know, we got to keep this legacy going because there's so much momentum and there's so much more work that needs to be done. And so that's why Minnesota Zhejiang came about. Today we have we continue our national Hmong language reclamation work. We also have started a coalition of Hmong educators in Minnesota. And then we also do local work in the Brooklyns and in the West Metro.
And I know you really shine in the classroom, and one day you hope to get back there as well and share what you've learned.
Definitely. I think through the Bush Fellowship, I think I'm going to learn a lot about myself, my own identity, language, leadership skill, everything. And so I hope to take it back to my classroom, but I also hope to take the knowledge into my colleagues that I help shape. And together we can help create this beautiful change nationally.
All right, Peng Yang, thank you very much for being here. We wish you the best of luck.
Yes, thank you.
And Peng Yang isn't the only Bush Fellow from our area. 2 others both have powerful causes. There's also Comfort Dondo from Plymouth, who wants to use her story to break the stigma and silence around childhood trauma and childhood sexual abuse in African immigrant communities. And Brooklyn Center Mayor Mike Elliott, who wants Brooklyn Center's transformative approach to public safety to serve as a model for systemic change. If you're driving west on 42nd Avenue through Crystal, a new mural may catch your eye. A trio of local artists painted the mural on the Elysian Playhouse. The arts venue wanted to beautify its building with a combination of bright colors and elements of nature.
I think my hope is that it just makes people smile. Like, I want them to see that big owl face as they're driving by if they haven't seen it before, and just sort of be surprised that this exists on 42nd Avenue in Crystal. Any business that thinks about doing a mural on their building, I just really appreciate people who sort of have that creative thought and vision to know that, like, we can do something different. We can bring a little extra color. We can bring something that's fun to the neighborhood.
The mural was partially funded by the City of Crystal's Facade Improvement Program. The artists had the goal of getting the mural done before their show, called A Flight of Musicals, started up this weekend. Coming up at the Elysian Playhouse in July is Comedy Sports, which is improvised comedy played like a sport. Target shooting continues to grow in popularity, and the Plymouth Gun Club hosted a special event this week. The annual Cops and Kids Night brings together Plymouth police officers and middle schoolers who are on the Wayzata trap and Skeet shooting team. It's a friendly competition between students and police.
For a little fun, camaraderie, get to know each other, you know, bring the kids together with cops, and they're going to meet them, they're going to talk to them, they're going to partner up with them and break a few targets together.
Baker says target shooting as a Wayzata school sport started at Plymouth Gun Club. According to Baker, there are now more than 11,000 participants in the sport statewide.
This weekend, Champlin Park thrower Adison Kopitsky is wrapping up her time as a high school athlete at the state track and field meet. In our last CCX Sports Spotlight of the spring season, Jason Malillo profiles the Champlin Park senior.
An injury
I actually got into throwing because I stress fractured my ankle, so I was in a boot.
becomes an opportunity.
And my coaches were like, hey, come over for a little bit, you can't run anyway.
As a freshman, Adison Kapitzke wanted to be on the track.
I was like, I think I'm a sprinter. I was not.
But after making her way to the throw circle, Kapitzke never left.
Such a passion for throwing. She's very dedicated. She works hard. She's here early, stays late.
Now a senior at Champlin Park, Kapitzke is one of the top throwers in the state. She won section titles this spring in shot put and discus, and was second in both events at the Hamlin Elite Meet.
Seeing the top of the state is amazing, and like I love all those girls. I've seen them all before. I see some friends that I don't normally see, especially when it's like Class 1A and we're 3A, so definitely a fun experience.
Kapitzke works hard on technique. She's a rotational thrower or spinner for both shot and disc.
It helped me by like 3 feet when I first started doing it.
Spinning isn't easy to master.
It's hard. I mean, you have to have really good proprioceptive awareness of what your body is doing. And, you know, there's this whole tempo besides just what your feet are doing. There's a tempo, so you have to have your feet and your arms all working together. And it's very technical, that footwork for a spin.
But an unlikely correlation,
Figure skating was my background, and that went into rotational a lot.
helped Kapitzke pick it up pretty quickly.
There is a jump called a toe loop, and that is almost exactly how the form is for your rotational spin. So it's just, okay, do that jump, but do it on ground.
Kapitzke also played volleyball for the Rebels, learning valuable lessons she now uses in the circle.
It made me a team athlete. It pushed me to my limits, which now I think has helped me push myself forward. For volleyball, you have your teammates pushing you. For track, you mostly have only yourself. So it gave me that go. Not everyone's going to tell you to go, but you have to go.
Kapitzke will study and throw at North Dakota State University. For her final state meet, Kapitzke says she just wants to go down fighting. For the CCX Sports Spotlight, I'm Jason Malillo.
Thanks, Jason. Kapitzke took third place in the discus at state on Thursday, with the shot put finals taking place after this taping. Watch for complete Day 2 highlights from the Class 3A meet Monday on CCX. The Maple Grove boys lacrosse team was moved from Section 8 to Section 5 for the playoffs this year. That put the Crimson in the same section as defending state champion Benilde-St. Margaret's. Jay Wilcox has highlights from the team's section final.
Second seed Maple Grove meeting top seed Benilde-St. Margaret's in the Section 5 boys lacrosse final. Maple Grove's Tyler Steinkopf scoops the ground ball, spins through defenders and scores as the Crimson net the only goal of the first quarter to lead 1-0. Benilde answers with two straight. Carson Brandt to Gus Bell, and he bounces it home for a 2-1 Red Knights lead in the second quarter. Maple Grove's turn. Connor Edlund to Mitchell sides for the goal. The game is tied up 2-2. Tanner Brendan takes the pass and works his way in to bounce the shot home. Upset-minded Maple Grove takes a 3-2 lead into halftime. Second half, and Brandt takes this one himself, putting a variety of moves on and coming from behind the net to score to even things up at 2-2. Later in the third quarter, Sky Rolled attacks from up high and gets a pick before going high with the shot. Benilde has the lead for good at 4-3 after 3 quarters. And they get the only goals of the fourth. Cam Gelling scores as the Red Knights overcome a slow start to beat Maple Grove 9-3 to win the section title. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.